Have you ever stood in the middle of a life storm, watching your most cherished possessions vanish into thin air, and wondered why destiny could be so cruel? There are moments when we feel the entire world has turned its back on us, and every closing door carries the painful echo of failure. But let me tell you about a hidden law of the universe, a lesson tucked away in the silence of a distant valley at the foot of the ancient Uravali Mountains, where mist hugs the limestone peaks and time seems to slow down to the rhythm of a heartbeat. In that place lived a man named Arav, in a humble mud brick house nestled beside golden wheat fields and groves of heavy fruiting mango trees. Arav's most precious possession was not shimmering gold or vast lands, but a white horse with a coat as smooth as moonlight and eyes as bright and intelligent as the stars of the north. To Arav, this horse was not just an animal. It was the soul of his home, a soulmate who had walked with him through countless seasons of rain and sun. The villagers often looked at him with a mix of admiration and envy, whispering that he was the luckiest man in the region to own such a priceless treasure. A wealthy merchant once offered a sack full of gold coins, but Arav simply smiled and refused, for he considered the horse a member of his family. He would often look deep into the horse's eyes and say that peace of mind is the only true gold in this world. On a terrifying, stormy night, lightning tore through the Rajasthan sky and rain poured down as if to drown the valley in a sea of water. The next morning, as the first rays of sun filtered through the neem leaves, Arav stepped out to the stable and found a cold, empty space. The gate had been blown open by the gale, the rope snapped, and his beloved white horse had vanished without a trace. News spread as fast as a forest fire, and the villagers flocked to his small house. They clicked their tongues, sighed deeply, and offered words of comfort tinged with tragedy, saying this was a loss too great to bear, an irreparable disaster, and that he had been foolish not to sell the horse sooner. Yet amidst the judgmental chatter and the chaos of the crowd, Arav remained calm, brewing a pot of hot masala tea, the steam rising gently to blend with the morning mist. He looked toward the distant mountains where the trail vanished into the deep forest and said in a low, steady voice, untroubled by any ripple of emotion, "Who knows if this is a blessing or a curse? Be patient and wait, for time will tell." The days that followed saw the valley return to its usual peace, but the villagers never stopped whispering about the strange resignation of the man who lost his horse. Then, exactly a week later, a strange sound echoed from the forest edge, the thunderous beat of hooves shaking the parched earth. Arav's white horse had returned, but it was not alone. Following it were 5 wild horses, majestic and powerful, their long manes tossing defiantly in the sun-drenched wind. The village was once again shaken. People flocked to congratulate him, hailing him as the luckiest man in all of Rajasthan. They said he was a sage for foreseeing this, that this was surely a blessing from the heavens. Faced with this sudden wealth, Arav remained unmoved. Still dressed in his worn-out cotton dhoti, he stood under the ancient Bodhi tree and answered their praise with a thought-provoking sentence. "Do not celebrate too soon, the story has only just begun. Be patient and wait, for time will tell." Life continued with new rhythms, and Arav now had 5 strong companions to help him cultivate more of the wasteland. His only son Ishan, a young man full of passion and vigor, began the task of taming these wild horses. Ishan believed that with his strong hands, he could subdue even the wildest spirits of nature. However, on a brilliant late afternoon, while trying to master the most powerful lead stallion, Ishan was thrown violently to the ground. A dry, sickening crack echoed through the silence. His leg was badly broken in 2 places. The village healer shook his head and said that Ishan would walk with a limp for the rest of his life, never again able to run through the meadows. The villagers came again, this time with somber faces and sharp words of pity. They lamented that this was too high a price for wealth, that those 5 wild horses were actually demons in divine form. Arav quietly applied forest herbs to his son's leg, looking into Ishan's eyes, which were blurred with pain and disappointment, and whispered firmly, "Life is like a great painting of which we have only seen a tiny corner. Do not jump to conclusions. Be patient and wait, for time will tell." Just 2 weeks later, the sound of war drums and trumpets boomed across the land, shattering the peace of the valley. War had broken out on the northern border, and the king ordered all healthy young men in every village to be conscripted into the army immediately. It was a brutal conflict from which many who left were destined to become nothing more than names on stone tablets. The wailing of mothers and the desperate cries of wives echoed through every alleyway as they watched their sons and husbands led away in chains. But when the soldiers entered Arav's house and saw Ishan lying on the bed with his leg tightly bound in a splint, they shook their heads and passed him by, for he was of no use on a battlefield where men must hold swords and stand firm. Ishan was the only young man in the village allowed to stay with his family. In that moment, the entire village seemed to fall silent. They suddenly realized that the broken leg, the thing they had called a disaster only days before, was now the very talisman that saved his life from the scythe of death. The golden light of the Aravali sunset bathed the valley in warmth. Arav sat with Ishan under the neem tree behind the house, watching the old white horse graze peacefully alongside the now tamed wild ones. Ishan took his father's rough but warm hand, his eyes shining with a deep understanding he had never known before. He realized that if the white horse hadn't gone missing, it wouldn't have brought the wild herd back. If it hadn't brought the herd, he wouldn't have broken his leg. And if his leg hadn't broken, he would currently be facing the dust and blood of the battlefield. Arav smiled, a smile carrying the wisdom of ages, and said, "My son, this life does not run in the straight lines we expect. It is a tapestry woven with both black and white threads, both pain and happiness. The horse running away was to bring back strength. The broken leg was to preserve a life. Without the darkness of the night, how could we ever see the miraculous beauty of the stars? Be patient and wait, for time will tell." That phrase is not an act of giving up, but a powerful faith in the flow of the universe. Now look back at your own life, you who are listening to this story amidst your own worries. Perhaps today you have experienced a bitter failure, a cherished project was rejected, or someone you trusted most has turned their back and left. You feel as though the sky has collapsed and your heart has shattered in the dark. But my friend, do not judge your destiny by just one sad chapter. This universe has its own ways of arranging things. Sometimes it takes away something good only to clear the space for something wonderful waiting around the next bend. Today's loss might be the preparation for a grand gift tomorrow that our limited wisdom cannot yet imagine. Learn to smile in the face of change, and learn to keep your soul as quiet as a rippleless lake in the middle of a storm. Because life is not what happens to you, but how you choose to receive it. Do not be overjoyed by good luck, nor utterly despaired by setbacks. Every event that occurs carries within it a seed of growth and a lesson hidden beneath the husk of pain. Keep walking patiently with gratitude. Keep working and giving your best. And then time will pull back the veil of mystery to show you the full, magnificent beauty of your life's painting. Remember, the sun always rises after every long night, and flowers always bloom after the harshest winters. Everything happens for a reason, and that reason always points you toward light and perfection. When you maintain peace in your soul, the world around you will also become more peaceful and gentle. Do not try to control everything with your small will. Learn to let go of judgment and trust the process of life's unfolding. Let the words of old Era become the North Star for your soul whenever you encounter a storm. Be patient and wait, for time will tell. Only when the story is told to the very last page will you truly understand why every previous chapter of suffering was written exactly the way it was. So keep believing, keep waiting, and keep loving this life with everything it brings to you. Because in the end, everything will be okay. And if it's not okay, then it is certainly not the end.